All right, it's been 3 years and I've kept you up to date about my Chevy Volt, and now I had a 39-month lease on it. Turns out I only had 10,000 miles a year, so or whatever, 11,000 miles a year, whatever it is. I ended up getting 33,000 miles, or 32,000 miles included. I've exceeded that slightly, not a big deal. It's like 10 cents a mile or something like that. So it's $100 every 1,000 miles. That's not critical. But the car has weathered a bunch, and when you come to the end of a lease, you have the option to either buy it, release it, extend the lease, purchase it, and there's different ways of handling it. Now, a lot of people try to get into the car for the lowest payment possible, and they end up painting themselves in the corner doing like an ultra low mile lease, right? Because now you've got an ultra low mile lease, you blow way through the miles, and you're stuck. You backed yourself into a corner that you have to buy the car because you're at 70,000 miles. You have to be realistic when you get the car. I was pretty close. If you look around the car, it's got, standard things. This is new. This really annoys me. This is what happens when you live in an apartment. Like, I don't know where this came from, but that's a pretty good shot. This scratch here, whatever it is, this key mark, this is from somebody turning and hitting my car, I guess. It's just this little stuff. This has got to be from me loading something into the car. But this all falls under, there's a line item on your lease. It's usually like $500, $800 that they tack on at the beginning of your lease to cover stuff like this. And I'll let you know when I do return this what that ends up costing me in the end. Here's a little mark here. That wipes off. But the car, other than the accident on the car, that's a nice thing about leasing a car, is that you don't have to worry about the diminishment of value because of the accident, because it's not yours. It goes right back to the bank, and this has got some scraping down here. It does become the bank's problem, and it's not the dealership's problem, it's the bank's problem. You can literally return a lease to any Chevy dealership. You just call and schedule a return. The only other thing I have on this car that I'm aware of is le bubble on le rear tire. When you look at this car, it's reasonable condition. I've done exactly what the bank projected for me to do. I've done my mileage plus 1,000, which is consistent, and then I've literally had a worry-free experience, or a trouble-free experience. I've spent zero on maintenance on this car, other than the one oil change, which I just didn't time right. I think they gave you 2 years of maintenance included, and I went in after like 25 months, so I had to pay for the oil change. So you're only talking about, say, $100 in fees for me to own this car for 3 years. And I got this car at a super great deal. I paid $273 a month for this car. And $273 a month, no money down, it was sort of a no-brainer. Now, that came because the bank gets the tax credit for buying the car, so that reduced the amount, and I was able to get into this car, all taxes and fees, for $273 a month. Now, when it came to the decision as to whether to buy it, release it, they want like $450 to finance this thing for 5 years. The balance on the loan is $19,000. Remember, it was a $33,000 car. And I was like, well, that's too much. I'm not going to increase my payment for a used car. How much for another one? $450 a month for a new one, because the tax credits have expired or whatnot, or whatever the incentives are. That's a no-go too. So I'm like, you know what? Let me look what it's worth. If it's worth, say, $25,000 and the buyout's $19,000, maybe I'll just buy it. The things are worthless. These cars at auction with like 27, 28,000 miles are selling for $13,000. There's no way I'd buy this car. I'd be the dumbest person on the planet to either continue to lease this car or buy it. I'm gonna go dump it into the dealership and make it the bank's problem. And why is roughly a 25,000, 28,000 mile 2017 Chevy Volt worthless? I don't know. I think it's a pretty decent car. There's no way around it, and I really enjoyed this car as a daily driver. I mean, I thought it was a very practical, reasonable car. My cost of fuel was reasonably low, obviously lower when I first got it because I was relying more on the battery. As life went on, I stopped plugging it in as much, but I still had that option to fill it up. It gets 40 miles to the gallon. It's literally $18 to fill the damn thing up and go 400 miles. So I'm really happy with the practical nature of it, but I just can't see doing anything other than turning this car in. So it goes back in a couple of weeks, I think 8 weeks from now, and sayonara, see you later. I'll let you know how that goes. I may go out and buy another one at auction for 13 grand. That may be the smartest play, but this sucks to be the bank. The bank is now well underwater on this car. And even all the interest I paid to them for this car doesn't make up for the fact that it's worth significantly less than the buyout. Now I'm in the market for another daily driver. I don't know what it's gonna be. I enjoyed the Volt. Maybe for 13 grand, I'll just go get a pen-fed loan or something like that, scoop up another one. But the other option is I can assume somebody else's lease, which I may do, because there's still people out there with 2 years left on their lease at $273 a month. I'm really happy with a daily driver at like $250, $270 a month. Anything beyond that I think is sort of a waste. I'll shop for Teslas maybe. The Model 3, the $35,000 one is out. I'll see what that costs, if I can get a 5-year loan on that through PenFed, and that ends up being $400 a month, $300 a month. Teslas, I think, hold their value. I don't know how many they're pumping out or what's going to ultimately happen with the Model 3s, but I think it's worth the risk to buy that. I'm really happy I didn't buy this, because if I lost all that money on this car, I'd be really bummed about it. If I bought it for $32,000 and within 3 years it's lost 65 or 70% of its value, that sucks. And there's something that the aftermarket doesn't like about the Chevy Volts. But again, it's not my problem, it's the bank's problem. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned. I'll let you know what I end up getting and what the dealership ends up charging me when I turn this thing in. Hopefully it's not killer. The dealership loves to hang stuff over your head to try to get you to release the cars, but hopefully I can navigate my way around that. See you tomorrow. For those of you not familiar with my other company, I started a company called Adventure Drives, which combines driving and bucket list travel. It's a lot of fun. Our next trip, we're off to Europe in July. If you're interested, prices can be done per person. Don't worry if you don't have somebody to go with you, we can match you up with somebody. You can check the link in the description for adventuredrives.com and sign up today.